Hello family, and welcome back to our wild Ohio.
There are secrets hidden right in front of us. I am Shane, holder of the knowledge of hidden superheroes with real-life superpowers. Their secrets hold the keys, scientists say, to immortality. Come with me as I reveal each one of these superheroes hiding in plain sight. They've been here since the dawn of time, before the birth of man. And they've hidden for thousands of years behind unthreatening appearances, pretending to be ignorant, pretending to be weak. I saw their little toothpick feet, not freezing, solid in a blizzard, when we know our feet would freeze off in 20 minutes. Then, when their disguise began to fall away, as I studied the research by top scientists, the truth became undeniable. As humans, we think we're the most powerful and intelligent creatures on the earth. I think we're wrong. Come with me as I reveal nature's superheroes and their real life superpowers. I have to tell you about the most impossible hero of all. A creature that literally dies every winter and comes back to life. You might think you know frogs, but you don't know the wood frog. The wood frog, believe it or not, has real-life superpowers. It can produce antifreeze. If you could freeze solid and die, then come back to life, would you consider that a superpower? Well, modern science does. The seemingly ordinary wood frog can survive temperatures as low as 3 degrees Fahrenheit. As our little wood frog prepares for the brutal Ohio winter, it starts to produce large amounts of urine. But unlike the rest of us, it doesn't drain this waste. It stores it in its blood. As the first ice crystals creep over the frog's skin, an incredible transformation begins. The water in the frog's blood starts to freeze. The ice sucks the precious water out of the frog cells. To prevent full-scale dehydration, the liver begins to make large amounts of glucose. As the sugar mixes with the urine in the blood, it creates homemade antifreeze. This concoction locks into the frog cells, propping them up. It prevents too much water being drawn out. If they lose more than 60% of their water, the process becomes irreversible. The cells will crumple and die from frostbite. The frog's antifreeze keeps him alive. The wood frog enters a state of suspended animation. Its internal organs and metabolic activity grind to a near halt. The lungs stop working, and the heart eventually stops beating. The wood frog can survive completely frozen to the point where they've become Ice Cube. Not like NWA Ice Cube, but like frog sickles. At 3 degrees below freezing is the temperature of the ground in winter. In a matter of hours, they'll be hard as rocks, and their hearts have stopped. Their brains are flatlined. Their limbs cannot be moved, or they would be broken off. Yet, they're still alive. Short summers and very cold winds create some unique problems for a frog, resulting in one of the most extreme solutions in the forest. Frogs are exothermic, or cold-blooded. They are only ever as warm as the day's weather.
Rello family, it's me, Snoop. How do you like my return at a Hoppin' Dead t-shirt? Well, me and Shane wanted to show you guys some love for being the most amazing family community on YouTube. So to celebrate the launch of Nature's Superheroes Episode 1, The Wood Frog, 2 of you lucky family members are gonna win these amazing one-of-a-kind t-shirts. And 2 lucky family members are gonna be rocking the only Nature's Superheroes Wood Frog t-shirts in existence. We created 2 unique custom designs. My personal favorite is the return of the Hopping Dead. And shirt number 2 features the official Nature's Superheroes Volume 1 comic book cover. That means make sure you're subscribed to our channel, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below telling us which design you like the best. Then, just head on over to ourwildohio.com and sign up our email newsletter. Realize everyone, these are custom printed, high quality, and completely free to win. We spent over $200 out of our own pocket making sure our family had something high-end and custom, and we're covering the shirt and the shipping just to bless you guys. We'll also do the community post sharing who won, and we'd really appreciate it if you send us a picture of you receiving your amazing t-shirt so we can share it. You can find the full official rules in the description below and on our website. Now, back to the show. And remember, Snoop loves you. Stay wild, my friends.
In 1912, a group of explorers in Antarctica stumbled upon a peculiar sight: frogs frozen solid in the ice. Yet, come spring, these frogs thawed and hopped away as if nothing had happened. How could this be? These frogs obviously have real-life superpowers to survive freezing temperatures that would kill you or me. Discovery led scientists to study cryopreservation, a technique now used in modern medicine, to preserve cells and prevent tissue damage, thanks to these real-life superheroes, who have been saving lives since the discovery of their real-life superpowers. And scientists believe these frogs hold the secret to human cryogenics, making deep space travel a real possibility. Nature's Superheroes continues to inspire scientific breakthroughs with their real-life superpowers, with a host of adaptations that help them battle the lethally cold temperatures, creating more body heat, hibernating, and generally blocking the cold from getting into the body. Seems like the obvious approaches to survive such a cold climate, these approaches taken by the large, often furry animals, whom you normally think of when you think of the insane frozen wonderlands of Ohio. But there's one animal that seems to defy the logic that applies to most other cold weather animals. An animal that almost certainly does not come to mind when thinking of the frost-covered Ohio woods. It's the only amphibian whose body is wet and cold-blooded. And if you came across it in the wintertime, you would undoubtedly think you had found a very dead frog. Its body, frozen solid, eyes glazed over, motionless. But if you waited until warmer conditions, you would see that frozen frog thaws out and bounces right back to life like it's just a normal Thursday afternoon for this superhero. The wood frog doesn't survive in icy climates by resisting the cold, but by embracing it. It freezes and thaws with the environment. This is definitely a handy superpower for the frog. But when it was discovered, scientists immediately saw the bigger story. Utilizing these deep freezes could mean a longer shelf life for human organs. A quest that has been out of reach since the very first organ transplants. Organs outside the body don't last very long. And when lives are hanging in the balance, even a few extra hours could make all the difference. So how does the wood frog emerge from its frozen grave completely unharmed? What lesson can animals like this teach us? And are these superpowers something we can harness for ourselves? The wood frog is found across the forest of North America, from the southern Appalachian Mountains up to the Arctic Circle. When winter starts to take hold, the frogs take shelter in the leaf litter of the forest floor. They assume a crouched position with the limbs drawn close to the body and their head lowered. This is the water-holding position and helps to reduce the amount of water lost to evaporation. Ice formation begins in the extremities, then spreads throughout the entire body cavity. Surrounding the abdominal organs, eventually, the frog's body water is frozen and vital signs completely stop. Normally, ice formation like this should shred tissue, the crystals physically ripping cells apart. Freezing also normally wrecks cells by affecting the flow of fluids into and out of them before ice forms. Inside cells, it forms in the spaces between them, which reduces the volume of liquid there. This increases the concentration of dissolved salts and other ions, which causes water to rush out from the cells to compensate, causing them to shrivel and die. All of this leading to a frosty demise. So to avoid this fate, the wood frog's body carefully orchestrates the entire process. To avoid ice crystallization and dehydration in vital parts of the body during the course of freezing, they change over their metabolism. They reorganize themselves. They're not damaged by the physical ice. They're not damaged by the anoxia. They're not damaged by dehydration. So what happens when a frog is wet and hopping around and it goes below zero? Ice starts to penetrate into the frog. So the frog can't generate heat itself. So eventually, if you take a stone-frozen frog and you cut off its legs and its arms, they have no blood. The blood has all been pushed into the center of the frog, where it's a huge lump of blood that then freezes solid. Ice crystals are only made of pure water, but the temperature at which they start to form depends on what else is in the solution. Anything suspended in water interferes with water's ability to form the hexagonal latticework of ice crystals. Cryoprotectants are molecules such as alcohols or sugars that animals can use to lower freezing temperature inside their bodies. Essentially, a biological antifreeze. Once the frog's body senses that the temperature is near freezing, the frog's liver begins to dump massive amounts of glucose into its bloodstream. Then glycerol and alcohol and more glucose starts to be packed into the frog cells to prevent ice from forming there, and to prevent any drastic loss in volume due to the dehydrating effects of ice formation. At the same time, water begins to move out of the vital organ cells and pools in the extracellular space. Ice nucleating proteins trigger the ice to freeze in these specific places in sheets between the skin and muscle layers. In small spaces, such as the lens of the eye or the ventricles of the brain. Everywhere except the critical organs and cells. It can survive this period of no circulation by reducing the metabolic needs of cells so they don't need much nutrients and oxygen. And then spring comes, the frog thaws, and all of its organs and bodily functions are restored nearly instantly. And surprisingly, the wood frog doesn't just withstand the cold, but actually it depends on it. They're adapted to being frozen. If you take a wood frog and you keep it in the lab and you don't freeze it, it dies. It just uses up all of its fuel. It uses up all of its muscle, abuses up all of its fat. It uses up all its glycogen, and it dies. And even though frogs are amphibians and humans are mammals, we have all of the same major organs. So if a frog can freeze itself completely solid, can we? Is there a way we can recreate these superheroes' powers and die, but come back to life? In the big picture of history, organ transplants are a relatively recent thing. It wasn't until 1954 that the first human organ transplant was successfully completed. A kidney transplanted from one identical twin brother to the other. In 1967, the first liver and the first heart were transplanted, and the era of organ transplants had begun. In the US, there are over 100,000 people on a waiting list to receive an organ transplant, but only around 40,000 transplants are performed each year. 17 people die per day waiting for an organ that never came. Much of this is due to a challenging supply network, constricted by the inherent lifespan of organs once they've been removed from the body. With the standard cooling methods, a liver or pancreas can survive for 12 hours outside the body. A heart for only 6. When an organ is taken out, it's a race against the clock as cells start dying from a lack of nutrients and oxygen. But cooling them slows this process. It reduces the metabolism of the cells, so they need far less oxygen and nutrients. So the idea of freezing organs to slow this process even further, making the organs last even longer, became an immediate goal for doctors. Shortly after the first liver transplant, researchers attempted the first frozen preservation of livers, using glycerol as a cryoprotectant. They froze canine livers at 24 hours to 2 weeks. But when the livers were then transplanted into healthy recipients, the animals only survived for a few hours. The livers had suffered serious damage to their cells, most notably to their blood vessels. Years later, researchers tried again, this time armed with more knowledge of freeze-tolerant animals like the wood frog, mimicking how the wood frog undergoes freezing. In nature, researchers infused rat livers with glycerol, slowly, mirroring what happens to the frogs in the wild. When these livers were transplanted back into the original donors, they did produce bile, and one animal even lived for 5 days. But sadly, none of the animals ultimately survived after decades of work. Now the wood frog is a medium-sized frog, typically between 2 to 3 inches long, and colors can vary. You'll see various shades of tan and brown and olive and gray. And one key feature to help you identify a wood frog is the dark brown mask around its eye, known as a robber's mask. So if you look at its face, you'll see a dark brown area that extends from the tip of its nose across the eye. You'll see another distinguishing feature of the wood frog, which is the white stripe above its lip. Now, depending on where you live, you may see some slight variations in how the wood frog looks. Now, of course, you can find wood frogs in summer through autumn, but you won't necessarily see large numbers of them at one time summer through autumn. It's more difficult to see them outside of the water. Perhaps the best time to not only see wood frogs, but to hear them. Males are noticeably vocal, filling the woods with their distinctive calls. Upon finding a female, a male wood frog will engage in what's known as amplexus, the physical embrace between male and female wood frogs. Male wood frogs are pretty feisty right now, darting back and forth in the water, sometimes smacking into each other. Occasionally, they try to dislodge other males currently in amplexus. It's an exciting time to be a wood frog and an observer. After mating, eggs are laid in these pools, remaining as gelatinous masses for weeks. Wood frog eggs are a favorite sight in early spring. Let's explore this floodplain a little more and see if we can find some freshly laid wood frog eggs. Vernal pools host unique plant communities, but many in this floodplain are largely devoid of conspicuous plants, even in summer. This is because many trees surround them. Once the canopy fills with leaves, very little sunlight penetrates to the forest floor. This prevents shade-intolerant plants from establishing. These are called black leaf pools because their bottoms contain leaves rather than copious vegetation like other pools. It is within these ecologically indispensable vernal pools that female wood frogs lay their eggs. In communal masses, over 1,000 eggs per mass, often attached to vegetation like sedges or loose sticks and twigs. Adult wood frogs travel between land and water, but the tadpole stage is obligatorily aquatic. They must be in the water. It's crucial these pools don't dry up too soon. Once metamorphosis is complete, juvenile wood frogs often hang out near the water for days before heading deeper into the forest. During summer and autumn months, you may see a wood frog in its terrestrial habitats, blending perfectly with its surroundings. Some frogs stay at the bottom of ponds and lakes in winter. Wood frogs do something differently. They don't head to the water. Instead, they remain on land, digging an inch or two deep into their winter dwellings, called hibernacula. These spots often include areas underneath leaf litter and shallow depressions. Though leaf litter provides insulation, they're exposed to bitter cold. They have to deal with this precarious situation. Wood frogs literally freeze solid, and they survive. Freezing isn't wise for all animals. Ice crystals can puncture cells. However, wood frogs do not die in these frozen situations. With the superpower of cryoprotectants, the wood frog literally freezes to survive the winter months. Most animals hide from the frost. The wood frog becomes the frost. After the brutal Ohio winter passes and spring arrives, temperatures warm and the ice starts to melt. Hidden within his frozen tomb, the wood frog also begins to thaw. Water slowly flows back into the cells. They rehydrate and return to their original shape within 30 minutes. The heart restarts and the blood begins to flow. The wood frog's superpower brings him back to life. The wood frog now needs to repower and immediately is ready for breakfast and some sweet, sweet lovin' and a much-awaited piss. They may not be the walking dead, but it is the hopping dead returning from a frozen grave to live once again. Scientists say immortality might be ours if we could manage to do the same. Now you tell me, is that a real-life superpower or what?
In today's story, we saw how I survived the brutal Ohio winter by slowing down and waiting. You might see some people always in a rush, looking for the fast way to the top or the quick shortcut to success. But in the wild, shortcuts can be dangerous. Real success, real survival, comes to those who have the patience to do things the right way, even when it's hard. Whether you're waiting for the spring thaw or working toward a big goal, remember, the right way is the best way. Until next time, stay wild, my friends.
Well, this brings us to the end of another episode, my friends. It's always a pleasure to share this journey with you, and I truly hope you found some valuable insights along the way. If you'd like to stay connected, I invite you to join our family by signing up for our newsletter at ourwildohio.com, so we can keep you up to date on everything we have planned. Also, it helps support the channel and doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us more than you know. We're also dropping bombs of knowledge over on Instagram, TikTok, and X, so don't miss out on the unique content that you'll only see there. Now get out there and enjoy our wild Ohio, and until we meet again, stay wild, my friends. Thank you for watching Our Wild Ohio. It's support from viewers like you who make it all possible. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Join our family and become a member of Our Wild Ohio by visiting the link in the description below. And until we meet again, stay wild, my friends.